Right, let me grab my tea and we'll go. Be like, whoa, BoredGamer, you're streaming! Oh my god, I love you! And I'll be like, oh, BoredGamer, thanks for watching. That's how the stream will go. What? Hold crabs? What emote is this? I said hold carbs. I was like... I'm just polishing my glasses. No euphemism. And let's put up there. Whoop. Let's put over here. Someone sent me money already. I appreciate the money. That's the sound of me appreciating. Wait, no. Don't clip that. That's... Okay. it alright volume-wise? Yes. Yes, Bored, it's alright volume-wise. That's you, that is. I hope everyone's doing well. Was it day 1 million of quarantine? Hope everyone, I hope everyone's staying sane, reaching out to other people where possible, playing games, socially distancing themselves, T-posing, if in public, so that no one else touches you. I need to get some merch done thinking about T-posing. That's a good point. So Zin starts working for me sort of officially, probably. We get all the contracts and everything signed in just over a week. I've given her some little tiny mini projects in the meantime so that she can sharpen her editing skills. It's going to be a learning curve when she starts on the channel properly, and sort of like feedback on videos that she does for me, because it's going to be almost always my voiceover, at least in the medium term. Hello, morning. But she's going to be doing lots of editing. She's going to be doing helping me film. She'll do that sort of stuff. So it'll still be my beautiful voice. Maybe we should overlay it with her beautiful face, and then perfect. And we've got a perfect thing. My voice and your looks. We will take the channel somewhere. No, it's not going to be that. So yeah, so that's terrifying and exciting at the same time, because obviously that's full-time employment and that's going to be expensive. But I think the channel can support it now, and I'd like to grow the channel in a lot of different ways and improve the content significantly, because I'm pretty lazy when it comes to certain things. A lot of the content I put on my channel is relatively low effort beyond what I'm comfortable with, which is I like to research and I like to regurgitate that research, sort of crush it down. Try not to have opinions on stuff unless I want to have an opinion on it, and then I'll make a more specific video for it. Typically, I don't know. Is that what I do? I try to just sort of regurgitate the news. So, this guy. Thanks very much. I mean, I see you post and donate a load, and I always get your name wrong. But what do you think of this new rumour that there will be a straight-to-flyable capital released near the October 10th event? So, CitizenCon is cancelled this year, but they want to have a event around the same time, potentially in-game, potentially a celebration. Could it be like Fleet Week? Maybe something like that. That would be pretty cool. Obviously, later on in the year, we've got the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo at the end of November, so that's probably going to be their biggest sale of the year, and I would expect all time. It's going up against the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, which was this year, and unprecedented large amount of $15 million in May. It's a huge amount. So there's close your ears for 5 to 10 seconds now if you don't want to hear what the rumours are. The rumours are that there's going to be an RSI gunboat, the Odin, which is going to be quite a big ship that CIG are working on. There's also rumours of potential other or more large capital class ships that Cloud Imperium are building. Now, that is more just rumour than anything else yet. SE League stuff has been pretty accurate when it came to what they said about the Grey Cat Rock. In fact, their child's drawing of a rock was pretty good, to be honest. Wasn't so much child's drawing as more of sort of like relatively accurate for being described to them, or maybe seeing a picture of it briefly and drawing it. So I mean, we're going to see lots more ships and vehicles in the future. It's not going to be anything like the same amount of rapid concepts we had for previously. Like, we were having a lot of concepts per year and a lot of sales per year up until last year, pretty much. It sort of started last year, it slowed down a bit. They have gone more towards a straight-to-flyable model. Now, that's not going to always be the case. That's not always going to be new vehicle and it's flyable in this patch. It's going to be concepts as well. So, and I think they're quite likely to keep that throughout the game's lifespan, even after live launch. Like, I still think we'll see concept sales. I still think we'll see new ships, and them do them, and probably sell them for real money, because I think it's a great way of supporting the game, as long as they're not keep on building ships that are just better than other ships. Like, the new fighter, and it's better than all the other fighters. That would be bullshit. Yeah, so 10th of October event, and around the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, that period of time, October to November, yeah, I'd expect to see some new ships, something that's a mixture of something small and cheap, that's a lifetime insurance token, but also big and expensive, like a new capital ship. I think that's very possible. And sensible when it comes to marketing. 3.10 live date speculation. So, I know that they are trying to get it out as soon as possible. As soon as possible is sort of like it's pushed past their targets and what they wanted for a 3.10 live. Obviously, they wanted it if possible live at the end of last month, but more than that, they sort of like after the revised dates, they wanted it while it was in Evocati, they wanted it I think by last Friday, I think is what they had planned, if possible, but obviously that's not the case. Now, there are problems with 3.10 patch. Problems that I haven't really encountered much, though, but there's lots of tweaks and bug fixing and sort of like getting the flight model and the new restricted areas and the new combat stuff as good a position as possible, but there's a lot of problems with packet loss. So like that's sort of like one of the major issues at the moment. They're tracking down packet issue bugs. Now I haven't noticed getting those, but I've been playing with Zin as well, so she hasn't noticed either. So it's a weird one, but there are some major bugs that they are trying to fix. They're bug hunting. I mean, there's literally a bug hunt request. Here we go. Bug hunt request. Packet loss. We've had reports of extreme packet loss and desync over the weekend. Reports of the packet loss could go well above 70 or 100% for minutes at a time. Very noticeable when you're interacting with NPCs. Yeah, very noticeable if you've got 100% packet loss. That's insane. So, yeah, they're trying to track that down. That's a major blocker for a live release. And there's a lot of other ones as well, but where is the Squadron 42 video? Oh man, I need to make this into merch. Make it into a proper meme, mate. You're going to hear a lot about 3.10 this week. I would expect them to try and push for a 3.10 live build for the end of this week, if at all possible. That just sort of makes sense, because all of the videos and live streams and stuff this week are going to be a big amount of focus on 3.10 and the sort of like what that brings to the table and what they're evolving from that. So yeah, 3.10 targeted almost certainly for this weekend. But whether or not they'll make that depends on whether them being able to clear the blockers. VR when? So they're working on the prerequisites of VR. Now, prerequisites of VR do not mean that the next stage is immediately VR, but they're sort of like their Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan. Once they have full Vulkan integration with the game, then they can entertain VR support in the future more readily. I don't think we will see VR in Star Citizen or Squadron 42 for a while. Probably not until after launch. It's possible that they've got plans for VR in Squadron 42 already, and they just haven't said anything about it, like a launch, but I would expect it to be next-gen VR stuff a few years down the line, sort of thing. I don't think it's a priority beyond getting the game and the core systems sort of completed and in a better state. Any news on the roadmap? It's dead end after 3.11. No news on the roadmap, no sort of like statement from CIG. Obviously, just having less than 3 months ahead of us is not appropriate for a roadmap. We don't have the Squadron 42 roadmap. Well, we've got the discontinued one, which isn't getting edited. We want that Squadron 42 video. So, with the Persistent Universe stuff, I would like to see at least 9 months ahead. So at least 3 patches, preferably a year ahead, and more preferably a roadmap to completion. It doesn't have to be a roadmap to completion of like 5 years of roadmap. I just want to see those features. Actually, I am supposed to maintain one myself. which I sort of did an article on, and then I've not updated it yet. I'll do that once we have got through 3.10 live, I suppose. It's probably quite a good idea. No, not Star Citizen VR, when you do VR. I did, so the last time I've done VR on the channel, or live stream, was probably my Half-Life Alyx live stream. I might re-look at that at some point, because there's lots of mods for it. Me and DC both have Valve indexes, and we will play some games together, certainly with them. Yeah, so yeah, I'll look at VR again in the future, and probably on the channel. What do you think about the current flight model in 3.10? What do you like? What would you like to see improved? Flight model. So specifically different from the combat changes. So flight model wise, ships feel the improvements with Jerk are definitely improvements. Like, so that is ships feeling weightier is the way I can describe it. You have to think a little bit more about your maneuvers. Your thrusters don't respond immediately. This is especially more noticeable in atmosphere, where they have lots of changes to atmospheric flight as well. So your ships feel like a big, heavy thing, and I sort of want it to feel like that. The improvements for that that help with sort of like combat and stuff means that people are slightly more predictable in how they're going to move, and you can use that to your advantage, even if you're the one doing the maneuver. Sort of like, you know that they think you're going to do this when you could do something slightly different, or you could work out what they're going to do. I like it. It's quite tactical, at least on paper. The way it feels in 3.10 at the moment, yeah, I really enjoy flying around planets and having me get battered around slightly by wind. I can't turn properly unless I turn my ship in sort of like a more aerodynamic way. I'm quite enjoying it. I think it's a massive improvement, a big step forward. The high-speed flying stuff, high-speed combat, that needs work because it hasn't really done much. They need to go further with that because they want dogfighting to be relatively close-knit affair. Now, I've realised one of the things that dogfighting needs, okay, to make it a close-knit affair. Something for the dogfighters to protect or want to protect an area or stay by, like an objective, yeah? If you just have two dogfighters meeting in space with no objective other than to kill or survive, then they'll keep on disengaging, yeah? As soon as you've got damage, you run off. If there's an objective, if there's something you need to protect, if there's some reason to stay in that area, if or whatever, then them bugging out is a victory still, yeah? Do you see what I mean? So if you're escorting a load of cargo ships, if pirates come along, you're protecting those cargo ships, but the pirates want to chase you off or destroy you, and whatever, because they want the cargo ships. They don't want they don't give a damn about the dogfighters. They just get protection. They want to get rid of them. So, and when you have capital ships, yeah, you want to take out the fighters around the capital ship. You're after the capital ship. You want to get rid of their base, so then those fighters can't really deploy in the same way. So I think that's just a really important thing. Like, we talk about ship combat and we talk about getting the balance and the feel of it right and everything, but we don't have nearly all of the sort of components in the game yet to be able to have that balanced or to have it work in the intended way, which is frustrating, because I feel like Cloud Imperium should talk about it a bit more rather than just say, oh, we're working on it. Yeah, it's an annoying thing. Like, physicalized components are super important. The objectives, like, when are we going to have, well, I suppose it's when we have NPC schedulers and spawn lockers, but when are we going to have the ability for us to defend things? Like, I want to have outpost missions where you take an outpost or have to defend an outpost against waves of NPCs or players. Like, have it so King of the Hill style things that you go to an area in the persistent universe and it prints money for you. I think there actually is a money printer mission, oddly, that they had planned, or whatever. It gives you stuff. Just holding that will encourage other people to attack it and clear it, and you sort of like have these missions that are get attacked by waves of NPCs. Now, obviously, you need the NPC spawn lockers and things like that for that to work properly. But we need objective-based stuff. We need capture and hold. We need reasons to stay in areas. We need those escort missions. And then that sort of combat is much more sensible. A lot of the sort of like combat balance you can do at the moment is just 1v1 dogfighting or that sort of arena commander style dogfighting, which isn't representative of what I really want from Star Citizen, which is a space sim with lots going on and me sort of judging risk and reward on missions, and as the mission goes on, working out when I want to bug out, my mortality matters, things like that. Because if you have mortality matters, and that makes people bug out a lot more, yeah? You're gonna try and get away, and that should be a victory. When someone disengages, that should be a victory. You shouldn't be sort of like, I must murder their ship. So that was my rant of the day. Star Citizen needs more. I think we all sort of agree. Is the music too loud? I'm so sorry. I sort of adjusted my sound for when Zin was playing with me. There you go. Thanks, Kieran. I need to get it so that using the mods, all the mods and stuff, can adjust the stuff, the sound and stuff on the fly for the stream. Thanks for a detailed answer. No worries. I mean, it was more sort of like a detailed rant. Narak, thank you very much for the sub. I'm pretty sure I said that earlier, but I zoned out. Do you think the Hercules will be in the Q4 patch? Yeah, so I'm very much expecting the Hercules Starlifter in Q4. I'm expecting the Q3 patch, the 3.11 patch, to have the Mercury Star Runner. That's what it looks like. It's possible that they might be ahead of schedule on the Hercules C2. Which would be great, and if it is, then maybe they'll push it into 3.11. So, we have seen, I've done a little article on ship prices in 3.10 now. They might change a little bit for the live build, but basically they've added, bring this up on screen, they've added now pretty much all the ships in game, other than the limited ones and the slightly more rare ones. So you can't grab the Saber Raven, you can't grab the Glaive or the Scythe, things like that. But and the Cutlass Blue is also currently AFK, but that's just been released, I suppose. And obviously the Grey Cat Rock technically isn't out yet. So they've added the Cutlass Red, Carrack, C8, Marvel Mantis, Vanguard, Sentinel and Harbinger, Bandit Defender, and 890 Jump to the purchasable ship pool, which basically makes almost everything purchasable in-game that's flyable, which is great. Now, some of the ships are pretty expensive. I'm sort of done a really rough sort of price guide there. Let me link it. Let me link it for you. There you go. There you go. Boop. Boop. Boop, boop. There we go. Boop. Boop. So, the big boy, the 890 Jump, 32.3 mil. Pretty expensive, but it should be a lot more once we have no more resets, in my opinion. Like, significantly, huge amount more. The reason for that is that getting a million, getting a Caterpillar, and then sort of leveraging cargo, you can get money pretty quickly. So the economy needs a huge balance, and it will in the future, and then it will be a dynamic economy beyond that, but we just don't have those things there. So in the short term, having the 890 Jump priced really expensive, I'm okay with. It's very obtainable. You still want it to be slightly rare. There are resets going to happen in the persistent universe, but they are genuinely trying to save progress between each of the major patches. Will we see a wipe with 3.10? We don't know. We don't know yet. They're trying to keep progress from 3.9 to 3.10, but if it's in the game's stability and general game's interest, then they'll have a wipe. So we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, some of the other ships like the Mole, I think that's pretty reasonable at 5 mil. 1.8 mil for the Cutlass Red. But yeah, so buying ships, if you've got the money, do it in game. Get a starter ship, grind a little bit, sort of understand Star Citizen. Maybe with 3.10, the ability to send money to each other and for UEC to each other, that's going to be a huge game changer for people purchasing ships. Because there are going to be some super rich people that have just caterpillared it. Yeah? Origin 890 is now the ship with the highest cargo capacity. There was lots of bugs with the 890 jump, so let's see how that pans out for 3.10 live. How much is the 600i? So it's got both variants. Now, actually, technically, they added the one of the variants in. They got the 600i. I've just put the 600i twice. But I think that's the 600i Explorer is 9.5 mil, and the 600i not Explorer is 9.9 mil. I think. Pretty sure. Touring, that's the one. Which is strange. What do you know about future goodies and functionalities in Game Glass? Oh, so I know they're working on a load of Game Glass stuff, the Game Glass guys. I can talk to them and give them a bit of a poke. Sort of like, I do, I would say shill for them, but I sort of like semi-erratically promote them because I think Game Glass is really, really useful and cool. So I probably need to get some listings up on my website and generally on the channel and links for, I think Game Glass is already on the videos, but like HCS voice packs and stuff like that. Voice attack. So I wouldn't expect it to, in the not too distant future, I would expect the ability to be able to buy, well, to be able to sell ships and items and gear and equipment in game as well for Alpha UEC. Not permanently, no, so bear that in mind. Can we hope for hacking and data running gameplay for 3.11? You can hope for it. I think it's a little bit further out. So they could have some basic data as cargo stuff for 3.11. So they could have very early first tier stuff for data as cargo. They've sort of like been building UIs for cargo in general, and I suspect that data as cargo is probably part of a more UI system than anything else. That could just be literally putting blades into servers. We've seen in the, have a look here, seen in the newsletter, a little sneak peek of the Mercury Star Runners, well, which I assume is the server room. Server room, yes indeed. So which you put blades in. So maybe you interact with the computer and it gives you a UI of the data you've got in there. Maybe you literally just put in physical hard drive / blades. I'll have to wait and see what they've got planned for that. But it's possible you'll get early first tier stuff this year. What's your opinion on the 600i interior? The Explorer probably needed a bit more love. It's a cool, simplistic ship. I think that once you have the ability to express yourself a bit more with a bit more sort of like persistent flair and modularity stuff, the ability to put lots of different like decorations and change the colors and more customization, then it probably fixes itself, that problem. What else have we got here? So I'm not going to be buying much in the way of new big ships, probably. I want to get some of the stuff in game. I've got this sort of like ability and privilege of being able to play the game a lot. So there's no need for me to buy a lot of this stuff as well. I don't think I can justify it, although technically it would be a business expense. So yeah. What would you rather see more? What would you rather see? More content or more stability and persistence? That's from Dalak. Thank you very much, Flymo, as well. Very much appreciated for the sub. You star, thank you. So Dalak, More content or more stability and persistence if I had to choose. Probably more content. Like, I would have run the project very differently. A much more sort of like rough console-based sort of, as in access a console and type in what you want and spawn things. And had the community much more involved in the development process and the actual physical development process and modding and things. And that's the way I would have done it, but I'm not a game dev. I'm sort of like more of a... I like people getting involved with things. Yeah, that's just me though. They've sort of... The way that their monetization model works is a playable alpha. Took a break after 3.7. Should I rejoin now or wait? Lots changed. So lots of stuff's changed. If 3.10 is stable for its live build, then it's worth checking out 3.10. There's a huge amount of changes, including a new sort of like flight/combat model. Lots of UI changes and stuff like that. And a load of fixes. Well, it's certainly worth checking out. I would say every major patch is worth checking out, though. New locations and all that sort of stuff as well. You'll be like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I need to check out June. I backed Dual Universe ages ago. Do that with all of these sort of like spacey games. I need to be checking out Elite Dangerous at some point as well in a bit more detail. Mining buggy in 3.10? Yes, the Rock Greycat mining buggy is in 3.10. It allows you to... Well, technically you can mine small nodes of the gem nodes. So the hand gem nodes, which you can use the orbit attachment on the multi-tool, you can... the Greycat mining rock does basically focuses on medium-sized ones of those, so larger ones of those, which you can't hand mine. Although you can mine the smaller ones with the Greycat rock, you can't extract them afterwards. So, at least I couldn't when I've been testing it. So really, it doesn't have that much use, the Greycat rock mining buggy at the moment, because it doesn't make much money doing that, and you have to get it to somewhere you can spawn it or land it with a ship, and it's a lot more faff and effort than it's worth. But it is a functional mining gameplay loop. Will 2 of the new mining buggies fit in the Freelancer? Okay, not properly, but I think you could get them in. You could wedge them in. Don't know if you're getting them back out ever. Do you think they're being less content for this and the next patch? They might be going full force on Squadron 42 by 2021? Or is that just because of the global lockdown / working from home situation? There's definitely a huge focus on Squadron 42 at the moment. That's the lion's share of development that's going into Squadron 42. How much do we know about 3.11? We know a reasonable amount about 3.11, although I would expect some changes on the roadmap. So the roadmap does show a good amount of what's going on with it. So they've got the refinery decks and cargo decks, so new space station facilities, which are hugely important. These sort of like... I'm hoping that docking reappears for 3.11, though I think it might be pushed to Q4. But basically, these are one-stop shops for your cargo needs, including escort missions and things like that, and sort of like dealing and trading with cargo, loading and unloading, which will have a fee and time associated with it, things like that. And then refining, literally getting your mined goods and taking it to a refinery deck, paying some fees, and having them refine it into different types of material, or potentially paying for different types of process or whatever for those that refinery stuff. And eventually that builds into the dynamic economy and factory nodes consuming those goods and things. But in the shorter term, that will allow you to purchase, well, make more money, potentially from converting your goods into one thing to another. The other thing is that there's the expectation at some point, potentially with 3.11, that you'll be able to buy cargo space, stuff like that. Lots of AI improvements, like they've got combat improvements and polishing. They sort of want to get the AI, FPS AI, into a combat-ready state with polishing at that stage, which seems madness, but great if they can. Got push and pull, we've got some cargo stuff, so the cargo is more physicalized. Other little bits and bobs. The 100 series, the Mercury Star Runner. Mercury Star Runner, I think a lot of people are excited about. Cutting tool attachment. So that's expected to allow you to like cut into vents and things like that, and eventually also be used to cut out weapons and systems on ships, so you can effectively salvage them by hand. I've got the grenade launcher, which I'm actually very much looking forward to. And then, a hugely major thing, if they can get it in, a lot of updates to the network code with the client actor networking rework. Should see a significantly more robust sort of like network experience. They've been working on a load of back-end services which should be ready 3.11 /Q4 2020 time. Assistance for sort of like they've deemed the iCache and then full persistence. That's the sort of stuff they're working on at the moment. Hopefully iCache for 3.11 with that in mind as well, with the client actor networking rework. There's some big stuff. I would expect to see a lot more with 3.11. Some bits move out. Some more sort of like more tangible mission type things move in. Lots more tweaks to the flight model and to the combat model and to high speed combat. Mercury Star Runner, I think a lot of people are going to be excited by. Okay, well, so maybe we should do some Mercury. I could buy some Mercury Star Runners. Contacted Cloud Imperium and see if they could give me a token. Ask. How much is the Mercury Star Runner? I don't really want to buy them from the grey market. How much is a Star Runner when it was last on sale? I'd like a Star Runners for the next like 6 months. That might be a good shout. Mercury. Okay, that's viable. As giveaways. Do Mercury Star Runners as giveaways. $225. It's a bit expensive. Doesn't break the bank. Okay, I think that's probably maybe what we'll do. Yeah, I'll look into that. A good shout for giveaways. Oh, is that a? 1 second. Sorry, I've sort of gone. I'm just seeing what the last email that Imperium sent to me was. Okay. I'm expecting Cloud Imperium to give me a Greycat Rock for giveaway as well. That's been the suggestion that's going around. Not a confirmation. And I'll probably do that on I might do that on social media or something instead, because it's small. Might grab a few of those Greycat Rocks and sort of like go, I want to increase the size of my Discord and Twitter or something like that. I'll look at doing that later and work out what we're doing with that. The Mercury Star Runner is the new Carrack. I think for a lot of people it probably is. Sort of like the Polaris, Mercury Star Runner, and Banning Merchantman probably the most hype at the moment. How do they give you one? Is it promo code? I think they just say, we'll give it to whoever you want. Or they might attribute to my account so then I can gift it. I'll find out. I think previously they've given ships to my account and I gift them from there. But again, not a confirmation. They might change their processes and stuff like that. What else have we got here? Have you had the opportunity to try out the Car2Al with the new flight model? I'm particularly interested to know how it will fly in Atmo compared to the other dedicated light fighters. I've only used the Car2Al in space, well, specifically in Arena Commander in Vandal Swarm, which I found it amazing in Vandal Swarm because of its weapon upgrades. It can take out a Vandal before it can hit me. So, I don't know how it flies in atmosphere yet. I need to try it out. Because the Xi'an ships are obviously going to have a unique flight profile, I suppose, because of the way that they're not driven by main engines. They're driven by huge amounts of thruster rigs. What's your opinion on Star Citizen anime ship girls? What? Combining two of my favourite things together. How does one trigger re-entry effects? Tried flying down in the Cat on Hurston, but had no luck. So 3.10, you have to be high enough in the atmosphere before coming down. I'll get some video on it. Hopefully that's not too loud, the music. Yeah, so sort of like the ship flare and the drinks machines, coffee machines, food machines, all that sort of stuff. They look like they have working in some ships and not others. And when are we going to get them for like the Carrack and stuff? I don't know. They are putting in like knick-knack shops and flare shops and stuff like that in the game. So you'll start to see more and more of that and the ability to take those sort of like items and put them on your ship and have them there. When do you think we'll see Theatres of War? So expect when 3.10 goes live, a week or two after that, they're almost certainly going to do another Eva Carty sort of like test weekend. And then maybe a couple. As soon as they've got through the major blockers, as soon as it's in a not awful state, sort of like a slightly more polished state, then they'll open it up to more public test weekends, would be my expectation. So by the end of next month, you might have seen something slightly more public about Theatres of War. When do you think we'll have FPS bounties? I think that one of the reasons they've got the Punchy Punches and Grimhex allowing for fisticuffs on board is so that bounty hunting can exist. So you've got body dragging, all that sort of stuff. So expect to see it pretty soon, probably, bounty hunting. So like, not full bounty hunting mechanics, but more bounty hunting, probably this year. Do you think the new targeting changes are bad? Okay. From what point of view? So, I think that it makes the new targeting changes sort of like it's a look-based system. So you don't have all of the information immediately available to you that you can just cycle and everything. But it's harder to use. It is not as an intuitive system. It is, if you were building a system for real military sort of like targeting, this would be bad, okay? Compared to what we previously had, where you could just said, blah, 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 cycle through targets, all that sort of stuff. However, for Cloud Imperium's needs, like, you have to search for that sort of like data, you have to choose your targets, you have to look around, it's a bit more visceral, it's a bit more sort of like an information game, then I think it might be appropriate. Should you have access to all targets and all the data in your single seat fighter? Well, if so, then a lot of ships lose and the ability to like fly in groups, and some of these ships that are going to be scanning for you, they lose their power. But once you have ships that can provide extra targeting information, can relay that to your ship, and that sort of stuff, and coordinate battles, then what they've done becomes a lot more clear to me. So, is it a better system? No, not for an actual use if you were trying to make something good for like a military actual application. Is it good for their game, though? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Like, I can see what they're trying to do with it, I think. It certainly makes combat a lot more... You can also see its applications for stealth. You have to actually try and find your target, and that sort of stuff. So ships are much more able to creep up on you if you're not expecting them or not scanning them down. But you'll still be able to do scanning pulses, boop, and see things. You'll still be able to detect things by pointing at them, boop, that sort of jazz. Oh, thank you very much. I will. Spaceships, appreciated for your money. So people sending me money. Why are you sending me money? I'm just talking. Just a bald egg boy talking about Star Citizen. Lunar21. Example, paying for Netflix. Newer watching every stream from you, and you are paying. Here's something. What? I appreciate the money, but I'm very confused. What? What? Thanks, Luna. I appreciate the money. Very confused. Thanks. Yeah. Maybe I'll see what. Maybe I'll have to put this in context later. Edward Price, thank you very much. Keep up the great work. I will. I'll use your money. Yeah. I'm gonna get me and Zin both great camera phones. Is the current plan, so that we can stream more readily at events. Because I'll get Zin to come, hopefully, when we have out of lockdown, to Bar Citizens and to CitizenCon and stuff like that, and BritishCon and all those sort of events that we can go to, and studio tours. Like, hopefully they'll go like, you can come to the studio tour, and so can your cameraman, which would be absolutely great if they allow for that. But yeah, also we do sort of like private LAN is what we call it, where we play board games and things like that. And I do want to expand the channel, doing a bit more stuff and cooking streams. So Star Citizen food is something that I want to actually start doing. I'm a chef, Zin's a foodie. We'll make repeatable recipes that are probably quite nice from the Star Citizen recipes and Star Citizen food in game and things like that as well. I'm obviously not a core of the channel for content, but something a bit extra, something a bit more interactive, a bit silly. Oh yeah, fuck you, Giran. How about that? Like that as a personal insult? I really appreciate what you do for me. It has like a more sarcastic tone. Sort of like the more subtle insults. So Giran literally pays me $2 a month in Patreon to insult him, and I don't insult. Part of the insult is I don't give him anything for his Patreon money. I do appreciate what you do. The problem is, Giran, is I genuinely appreciate what you do. So thanks. Oh, nice. I'll think of some more flowery ones, and I do genuinely appreciate my mods. I'm going to get Zin to sort of like take control of the mod group, and then coordinate with my mods and Huntress and people. Yeah. I'll probably need a load of new mods as well, because I'm planning to stream more and that sort of stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. It's very hot in my room at the moment. I probably should have the window open, but I don't. I've just had a shower. Now I feel like I need another shower. My dad's doing very well, so thank you very much for all the kind words for that. Sort of like we've got a good sort of like rope of hope, where he is very treatable now. I mean, he's got brain cancer, but his treatment's going incredibly well, and they've offered him radiotherapy now. Well, they've said that radiotherapy is an option now, and that could lead to of like years and years and years of life, potentially a cure. I mean, I think that's very unlikely, realistically, but I think that it's much more likely that we won't have trouble for like 5+ years, which is good. You know what I mean? Can you add a looking for group channel in the Discord? Yes, I will get the Discord in order. Let me actually write down that stuff now, because I want to get people using my Discord a lot more, and sort of interacting as a community on my social media, on my Reddit, my Twitter, the Discord, all that sort of jazz. Discord, get in order, looking for group mods. Yeah, but with the, as I was saying, with the new targeting system stuff, like, it's more hands-on. It requires you to be a lot more active for targeting, and for single-seater fighters, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible idea for what they want with the game. Thanks very much, Shite. You're a star. I semi-jokingly made you a mod originally, but you've been a bit of a legend. Thank you. You think CIG should focus on fixing server issues and other errors or bugs instead of continuing to add to the feature set? I sort of mentioned that earlier, saying that I'd actually prefer more content than the stability and persistence in sort of my head, but they are when I'm actually playing, I want more stability and persistence. And when I'm not playing, I want more content. You know what I mean? But they're not mutually exclusive. They sort of are doing both at the same time, and it works for them for their monetization model. It just makes the development of the game a lot long-winded, a lot more long-winded. What are your thoughts on the concierge teaser and what it might be? So let's have a look at this. Let me remove my identifiers from my Chairman's Club letter. Boop. So in the Chairman's Club, the Chairman's Club is teaming up with Hesperia to bring you exciting surprises. Our sources say a momentous happening may be on the horizon, and they also say Will's turning at Hesperia. And so there's lots of sort of like, what is this new Hesperia thing? Now, I think that what they're referencing is a skin. It's sort of set as iridescent, is the term I want. It's a color shift. An iridescent-esque skin for a new Tavaran ship. Now, Tavaran Light Fighter makes it, I think, is the most sensible option here, because we know that their CitizenCon 2019, they talked about the mining vehicle, which is the Rock Greycat buggy. They talked about a mobile refinery, they talked about a Xi'an cargo ship, and they also talked about a Tavaran light fighter. Or Tavaran fighter. It's probably... It might not be a light fighter. It might not even be... might not be a Tavaran light fighter at all. But I think the shapeology is Tavaran. Yeah? Maybe? Potentially? But what do you think? It's like... I think that it's referencing a skin for it. There's something new that the Chairman's Club will have access to. But then everyone obviously will have to buy the ship. Will it be a concept? Will it be a straight to flyable for like 3.11? I don't know. Don't know. BoredGamer don't know. What are your thoughts on the current quantum travel mechanics? Any room for improvements or tweaks? Yeah, loads of rooms for improvements and tweaks. But a lot of it comes down to plotting courses, navigation, being able to travel to points of interest. The star map basically needs improvements for quantum travel to have improvements, and the ability to not just quantum dampen, but you also need to be able to slow down on webify ships in some way, brain power or something. Do you think this is part of the ship's dashboard? Nah, I think this is a little engine, a thruster engine, surely. Are you satisfied with the speed of quantum travel? We can get different... yeah, I think so. Really, we need the ability to carry ships and better persistence so that we're not flying small ships between planets often, because obviously we don't have enough quantum fuel for that and stuff. But I think with the different sizes of quantum engines and the different choices in quantum engines, I'm relatively happy with the speed of quantum travel. There needs to be more stuff that could potentially happen in quantum travel, which will happen in the future. I mean, I'm of the sort of like era where I'd move around for hours and hours and hours and hours just traveling in Eve. Like, you think we'll see Proro or Crusader before 2021? So, the current thinking is that Pyro is more likely to be ready for the end of Q4 than Crusader is, and Arisen, because there's a lot of work that was going into that. So it's possible we'll see them both for Q4, and it's possible we'll just see Pyro for Q4, and then Crusader or whatever Q1 of 2021. That's the sort of current rough thinking. Always great, stay healthy. Thanks much, Zelix. Exlix. Zelix, more appreciated. Shite, thank you very much for them. Not only are you a mod, but you also give me money. I appreciate it. Star Citizen Foodie, can you make a ranta dung inspired dish? Like ranta mint stung pie, ranta dung soft serve, no need for peanut topping. Thanks, bud. Yeah, we can do like a prison pie, which is made of ranta dung or something. Like a prospector's pie or something like that, or sort of cave, some sort of cave pie. Yes, we'll have a look. we'll do some silly stuff as well, I'm sure. But I mean, I'm also interested in doing food that's actually nice, based on those recipes as well. That's repeatable. I want people to be able to go, I copied this recipe and I had a good time. Do you think the new flight mechanics will force players to treat their ships like real ships and less like WoW mounts? Were people treating it as WoW mounts anyway? Like, you are your character rather than your ship. In Atmosphere, combat is a lot... I mean, I haven't actually done much combat in Atmosphere, thinking about it, but it's going to be very dangerous to do atmospheric combat now, which is sort of what I wanted. The jerk and the weight additions to space, that's pretty good. I'm not sure. I don't really think that people were seeing them as WoW mounts before. Realistically, at this rate, can you see the 4.0 Pyro update landing in at least ETU this year? Yes. I can see it. I can see a potential 4.0 Pyro patch for Q4. Do you anticipate a full reset when 3.10 drops, or do you think Cloud Imperium will cap accounts that have glitched money? So they've implied that they can do that if they want. So Cloud Imperium could reset those accounts that have got glitched money or exploit money. They could cap our PVC that transfers over to a few million, or something like that. Or they could do a full wipe. Dogfighting violates social distancing, wow. Why do we never get the missions they debut at CitizenCon events? The Mars Eckhart pirate-based mission, bunker missions protected by ground vehicles, a Javelin wreck mission, microtech missions. So, you sort of do see missions that are similar, though. I mean, for example, you certainly saw the mission for the rescue of the server blade on Hurston Lawville. Yeah. So that was a mission they very much did. There is a Javelin wreck in game with no associated mission with it, but that mission was in Layer 3. But there are lots of missions in the game, just because they're a bit different from the ones they show. That really a big deal. The microtech mission I would like to see, though, like this mission, they are building multiple mission pieces and modular missions, and some of this is stuff they've been working on. So, Game Blast-wise, I know that they're building shards for Star Citizen based on each of the gameplay loops and mechanics that are sensible. Specifically, I don't know. I can ask them, as I said. Any news on what the status of the iCache is? I believe it's quite close to completion. The last information we've really had is from the monthly reports. I would expect that Todd Pappy will probably be answering some questions on it this Friday. Expect it this year. iCache sort of updates to the game, potentially 3.11, potentially 4.0/3.12. In recent days, you said the PTU is quite stable. Why are you getting stability, but all other YouTubers are having 30Ks every half an hour? I don't know, but genuinely, I'm not having problems with stability with the Persistent Universe. Me and Zin, we played for quite a long time the other day. I haven't had the packet loss problems. I've not had the 30k problems. I wasn't playing that much over the weekend, though. And maybe some stuff's changed because I was playing Green Hell with Zin. We did a like 8-hour live stream, and then I was zonked out on the Sunday. So I haven't been playing much 3.10 on the weekend. They are trying to push for second wave PTU ASAP for 3.10. That could genuinely be like today or something, if they can get rid of some of those blockers. Sorry, I've got a bad back and neck at the moment. New Star Citizen content creator here. Is there a method you can recommend to get our content more views? Reddit seems not like gameplay content or videos in general. So yeah, they don't like self-promotion on Reddit. So Reddit, if other people post your stuff there because they've organically posted it, that's fine. But if you're getting someone else to post it for you, you're posting on there, it's probably a bad idea. Start your own Reddit group for your content, for sure. I might start a more community focused Star Citizen Reddit / general group, but that would be for my own interests. But I do want to get lots of other content creators involved with that. That's the idea. So you have more of a general sort of like posting ground for that sort of stuff. Slightly curated, so it's not trash content. So how do you get more views and stuff? Make sure your metadata is correct. So your title, your description, your thumbnail, as accurate as possible. Clickbait, avoid clickbait, but make your title and thumbnail as appealing as possible while being accurate to the content in there. So you can make stuff more clickable and interesting with its title, but make sure that's fully accurate to the content. You haven't tricked someone to go on there and they click on it and go, that's not what I was expecting to see. Go, this title is accurate. That person should expect to know what's in your content when they click on it. Yeah? But be as appealing as you can be with that still. You can put up to 3 hashtags into YouTube videos as well, which makes them more searchable. You can put chapter marks in there with timings, time skips. That actually puts chapter marks, improves your SEO. Getting a website and reposting your stuff there is a good idea. Posting your stuff on the RSI hub. Getting a Discord, posting it on there. So building your own community that you post your own content in is a great way of doing a lot of this stuff. Because then you don't, not pissing people off on Reddit who are like, I know where your content is if I want to go and see it. You know what I mean? Why would anyone need to post a regular Star Citizen content creators videos up on Reddit? They shouldn't. Yeah? They know where your content is. If it's something very sort of like, I want to draw attention to this for a specific purpose or whatever, yeah, I can see that more often. A lot of some of Morphologist's videos will get posted up on there because they're beautiful. And I think that's fair enough. But people know, people want to see my content, they'll come and see it on my channel. I'm not even a massive fan of people posting my content up there organically on Reddit. I think it will draw anger and criticism of, this guy is in a really privileged position, he doesn't need these views. You know what I mean? Do you think they will add Quantanium to the cargo list at some point? Yes. Well, so maybe. There would have to be like stabilization cargo containers for it. Like moving of Quantanium, the thing with it is that it's really unstable. So they're not going to want to move Quantanium. You're going to want to get it to a refinery as quickly as possible. It's that the thing with Quantanium is it needs to be refined quick. So it'll be added to the refined materials / that's an interesting one. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't need to be refined quick, so can you buy it as a commodity? A friend of mine hasn't logged in lately. Tried to update, and then fresh install. Still nothing. Should he wait for 3.10? What do you suggest? Try and diagnose his problem on support.rockspaceindustries.com. In the alpha, purely about adding features. Is the alpha purely about adding features, or should Cloud Imperium focus more on problems and server issues right now? They do both. They literally do both. Place bet, Squadron 42 and Persistent Universe. What will we see first? Squadron 42. Satterball, question mark. One day I think we'll see Satterball, but in the distant future. Or your beloved Titan suits. Oh, I want Titan suits. So bad. They're going to be in the game, but just we don't know when. Will the food and drink processor in certain ships work for the survival mechanics? Yes. Which C8 Pisces is the one on sale? The C8 or the C8X? The C8 in-game. Hi mate, new player here. Really loving your content. Feel like I've joined at a good time. Is there anywhere I can find lore for the game? Where is the source material? Thanks. So you can find the lore in-game just on the website, the robertspaceindustries.com website. There's the Galactopedia there as well, which will give you a huge amount of lore. That's in Spectrum Galactopedia, I believe. Let me actually see if that's correct. show you. Where's the in Spectrum Galactopedia? Where's the Galactopedia? Why have I lost the Galactopedia? Is it in apps? It's in apps, isn't it? Ah, it is in apps. So in Robert Space Industries website, apps, you can find the Galactopedia. Boop. That'll give you a huge amount of lore. Also, the Astropub. Watch the Astropub stuff. The Astropub does huge amounts on the game's lore in quite good detail. Say quite good, very good detail. So watch his stuff. But the Galactopedia is a great place to find specific things that are referenced in his videos. 1 second. Let me actually link you his channel. Astropub. There you go. Yeah, +1 for Astropub indeed. Good chap as well. Yeah, but check out his stuff. Show you his. They basically sort of like tailored himself to having like a pub in the verse, a bar, but he does some great lore videos, including a beginner's guide to Star Citizen lore, which is probably worth watching for you, sir. Some great stuff. Do you think The Rock will have LTI, lifetime insurance? Yes, I do think it will. When it goes on sale. Oh, I broke it. Maybe one way of implementing your idea about objective-based dogfighting would be for both legal and illegal purchases, generating a mission to intercept shipments. This. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, so just generally just proper escort missions, and that sort of like give the criminals, generate missions for the criminals to go and assault and attack, areas for players to go that encourage them to stay in that area to earn stuff, get monies. Thank you very much. Bree George, or thank you very much. Oh, you star. Thanks for becoming a Prime sub. But yeah, any sort of like missions generated for objective-based, get fighters to stay and want to protect an area, and if they bug out, then they lose. So they're more willing to stay there, even if it's more risky. So maybe they will get taken out, but when they bug out, the other team's still won. They go, yes! Do you know what I mean? When do you think we'll see ship-to-ship refueling? I think we need docking first. If they've got it, if there's a focus on ship-to-ship refueling, you could see it this year. Though it's more likely it's sort of like middle of next year sort of mechanic. Obviously, very important. Hey, Bored, love your content. Thank you for all you do. I'm enjoying the new changes to flight. What have been your favourite ship to fly in 3.10 PTU? Probably the Gladius. The Gladius is going to be a nice sort of like feel for lots of different mechanics. And I always see it as the gold standard ship for a lot of stuff. So probably the Gladius for context for a lot of stuff. Back to work. See you later, Dalamars, mate. You take care, buddy. Oh, Razy, thank you very much for gifting subs. And Dave Noir, congratulations on getting a free sub from Razy9. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much for subbing yourself. Oh, you star. Oh, thanks. I know. Sorry, I get confused by people sort of like sub and donate and stuff. Sometimes I'm just sort of like smug about it. Other times I'm sort of like, why? But thank you. And what's the correlation between multiple star systems, server meshing, and the amount of servers available? Okay. So, server meshing is required to have more players on a server and for Star Citizen to be a MMO in the future and that sort of stuff. So, the idea, well, technically not more players on a server, maybe, but... so, server meshing allows for the seamless transfer of data between servers. So, they can have loads of servers, literally in like next to each other, controlling different areas of space. Yeah? So So you have the Stanton system controlled by 30 servers, and they can all share data. So you can have loads of people then, basically in the same star system. Now, the first stage of server meshing is going to be static server meshing, and that will allow for specific areas to be servers. So that they're set up as servers, just bam, that's a server. That planet's a server. That area of space is a server. The later version of that is dynamic server meshing, which allows for each individual object container or ship to dynamically become a server or be part of a different server. Yeah? And they can keep on switching that on and off based on server population and population of areas. So it can change. Great. Really efficient way of doing things. So really, for multiple star systems, they want server meshing there so they can share data between those servers much more easily and there's no loading screens. Really, if they had you traveling between different star systems at the moment, they'd either have to cut the server size down, have you in one server or another, yeah, without sharing the data so well. So really they need some form of server meshing there so that they can share data, otherwise there's going to be a loading screen, and they don't want that. As far as I'm aware, servers available though, it's they can have as many servers available as they want. I think they leverage Amazon Web Services stuff. NPCs seem to be more populous in 3.10, yes, and they're not standing on seats so much. Like, very rarely I saw them standing on seats. So they, for the Quanta and the sort of dynamic universe simulation for NPCs and stuff, they need the NPC scheduler and spawn lockers as the sort of like next stage of that, as well as the iCache, so it's going to be a stepped process before we have proper dynamic universe simulation and the Quanta system. Hitachi, try the new flight model in 3.10. They've got VJoy stuff set up for it, and it's a lot different. I don't know your exact problems with your analog control stuff, so check it out in 3.10. Do you think more star systems will be coming soon after Pyro's release? I think they'll probably start work on another star system after Pyro's release. Yes, I do. I think they might have some star systems planned going towards the Odin system, which is the Squadron 42 system. Has CIG fixed the throttle bug in 3.10 yet? So what, the throttle at 100%? And yeah, I think that's still a thing that they're trying to solve. Can you expand on the NPC scheduler? NPC scheduler and spawn lockers basically physicalize NPCs in areas based on what their needs are, but they come out and despawn from a room that players can't get into. So it will be like a security door, or there'll be like an air shield there, and NPCs will disappear into there and come out of there. Yeah? It's sort of as simple as that. An area for them to create and despawn NPCs in a diegetic manner. Maybe using those terms wrong, but you know what I mean. So the VJoy stuff makes the mouse act like a joystick. The only way I can describe it. So you can use a joystick with it, and that makes it appropriate for using a joystick. So you can use VJoy settings with a turret, and use a thumbstick on a joypad or a joystick to actually control your turret much more effectively, in my opinion, with VJoy stuff. I hate VJoy. I use, because I'm using mostly a mouse at the moment, mouse and keyboard. So I use one-to-one for my turrets, toggle it with Q, one-to-one mouse relative mode. Will they ever have player-controlled NPCs? So sort of that's the agent smithing that they originally talked about, where you could potentially take control of one of your friends' NPCs on their ship to fly with them. I think they've gone away from that now. I hope they consider bringing it back in the future, though. They sort of like going, actually, that would be pretty cool if we can just jump in our friendship. So the ship in the background, I'm not sure when you were talking about that we had the Valkyrie and the Carrack being shown, although it's the old Carrack, not the new one. You expect to see a companion app or Star Citizen guide of sorts released to mobile devices? Yes. I expect to see lots of little appy things that are for your desktop, for your PC, for your mobile in the future. Yeah, so it's agent smithing is obviously the Matrix term for taking control of morphing into them. Bear with me 1 second. I just need to buy out. Ah! Hi. Someone sent me more money. Why have you sent me money, Toplift? Thank you very much. Oh, but look, no. Oh, Tobliff. Next week, Starship Troopers. Yeah, Starship Troopers quiz. Yeah? Just would say Starship Troopers quiz next week, yeah? Yeah? Deal? Don't stop sending me money. Don't have to answer with money. Love you, mate. So Toblith challenged me to answer Starship Troopers. See, I know what we're talking about. Questions. He wants me to read my Starship Troopers book that I bought, which I just haven't read. But next week. Deal? It's a deal board. Perfect, Toblith. Perfect. I've heard another YouTuber casually mention Pegasus, but for some reason I thought that was cancelled project. Is it coming? Was it cancelled? We don't 100% know. The Pegasus is supposed to be an escort carrier. I would expect to still see it at some point. Stop! Sounds good, man. Thank you very much. I could ask you more questions, so you send me more money. But no, thank you very much. Very much appreciate it, Tobliff. I appreciate the generosity of people who want to send me tiny little messages for money. Thank you. You're a star. And thank you for trying to improve my understanding of social systems in space. Will all these be able to be rented as well as bought? Other content. So, almost all ships now that are flyable in game are now purchasable in game. Almost all, as I said. Not the Raven, not the Scythe. So, not the Raven, not the Scythe, not the Glaive, not the Cutlass Blue. But not all ships will be rentable. So some ships will not be rentable, especially the super expensive ones typically. They obviously oddly can rent the 600i, I think, but not the 890 jump, not the reclaimer. Prowler's not in game either. Yes, thank you. Prowler's not in game to be bought yet. Should be soon. So yeah, I'm hoping that for 3.11 they add that wave of ships. That sort of makes sense to me. Not the Grey Cat Rock either. Yeah. But yeah, so you're not going to see all of them rentable, much less available to rent. In the future, probably everything available to rent, or most things, but where it's sensible. 12 million in game for a ship that might disappear when they do a wipe. Yeah, but your money's going to disappear when they do a wipe anyway, so why not buy it? Potentially don't grind your life away trying to get progression in Star Citizen yet. But if you've got the money, try the ships. Buy them. They might persist. That's my thoughts on it anyway. We have some paints becoming available in game with 3.10. Yes, you can purchase them in game. Yeah. So before you can purchase them with real money, but now you can purchase them in game as well. Have you heard anything about when we might see other ships getting different paint schemes in the persistent universe? They'll add more and more each patch, it looks like. Do ships still despawn after you steal them? Often, yes. They sort of despawn when you relock, though. I've had some success of sleeping in a stolen ship's bed, though, of respawning with me. But you can't... It won't be stored properly in a ship, in a station or anything. It's not your ship. Any more news on personal armor components, shield scanner, etc.? No, they haven't really talked about that much. They're building UIs and the systems for the sort of like inventory system, which I actually think's pretty connected to that. But they haven't actually talked much more about modding your armor with different functionality. Is the next roadmap card typically released after a live patch? Okay. Typically, we have a lot more of the roadmap than we do now. So, we are always in uncharted ground with Star Citizen. It's not really appropriate, in my opinion, for them just to have the 3.11 patch up there. They need more. But I think, really, they need to get it up ASAP. How do you know the lion's share of development is in Squadron 42? Well, because I've been on office tours, and Cloud Imperium have said it often. There's a huge amount of devs working on Squadron 42 and Squadron 42 locations, and the core of Star Citizen, which, yes, a lot of it is shared between both, but it's the focus is on that Squadron 42 side. I know that because I know that. Squadron 42, does that mean it's further along than the PU? Yes. Well, yes, because the PE won't be done for years and years and years, and needs a lot more beyond what Squadron 42 needs. So for percentage completion, yeah. Squadron 42 is near complete as far as I'm aware. At least relatively. The Grey Cat Rock isn't being sold in game yet, and isn't being sold out of game yet. Expected to go live when Star Citizen 3.10 goes live. That's when you'll see the sale. You're looking hella fresh, brother. How have you been? I've got some back problems at the moment. I often get back problems because I'm pretty sedentary as a person. But I've been losing weight, growing a bit of a beard. I'll see how this goes. I think I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. When do you expect to see the hull C pushed out? Docking we need for that, for sure. And they said that they've been working on all the prerequisites to get it in the persistent universe as well at the moment. Could see it for Q4 if we're really lucky. More like sort of like Q1 2020 might be my expectation. When will CIG start to sell the Microtech Penguin plushies IRL? I don't know, but if they don't soon, I'll ask for a limited license to produce them for myself. I saw there was a rumor that there would be a package with the Cutlass Black together with the Rock for $150. Maybe. It's something that it seems likely that they'd do for when 3.10 goes live. Expect the Rock to be a lot more useful later. At the moment, it doesn't have a huge amount of use. There's a functional gameplay loop, but it doesn't make you much money. Your ships orbit when left in space around a planet. No, the planet will rotate, though. If you're in the planet's physics grid, you'll move with the planet. As far as I'm aware. They will have orbiting planets and moons at some point, not just rotating. Yeah, if you've got... So I have my Banner Merchantman and my Connie in the same package. Yeah, so you can't separate those ships. You can upgrade them individually, but you can't separate that package. You'd have to melt it if you wanted. Yeah, expect a flyable ship sale with 3.10. So what I mean by that is the Grey Cat Rock and anything that's had major updates or changes in 3.10 will likely be on sale. Now, that could be actually quite a lot of ships, including like the Katu Owl, maybe a load of the fighters as well, because they're sort of like wanting to test dogfighting and all that sort of jazz. But you should see anything that's received significant changes. So the Katu Owl, the M50, the Grey Cat Rock, at the very least. Oh, thanks. Oh, I see. The context being Luna watches without donating, so here's a donation for change. Thank you. Sorry, my brain imploded when I was read that comment. Thank you, thank you. What do you think the likelihood of iCache and server meshing to actually come this year is? Server meshing, very unlikely. iCache, very likely. Do you think that the new flight mechanics will force players to treat their ships like real ships? We talked about that already. So this is from an early... This is from CitizenCon 2019. So... What's your favourite ship? Just something I would like to know. It changes. It does change. I'm very much looking forward to the functionality coming with the Reclaimer. I'm very much looking forward to the Banner Merchantman. I've got a Javelin, so I'm looking forward to the Javelin. But the Carrack, I want exploration for it. So there's loads of ships that I love. I sort of like love them all to an extent, except for the Reliant. I'm not a fan of the Reliants. I don't know why. Do you think they will improve the flight of larger ships so they can fight when attacked by fighters? 600 pilot have 3 size 5 guns, now worthless in the current flight model. I think turrets are super deadly in the new combat model. And 600 eyes... I haven't actually tried the fighting them out against each other, so I can't put it into context. So the Hull C, they hadn't finished all the parts for it. They need expanding physics grid with it so it can have its spindles contract and compress. Yeah, there are binary slavers and people as cargo looks like a thing in Star Citizen. Fixed weapon assist to make the Vanguard full fixed loadout viable. Yeah, it makes it a lot more viable, I'll tell you that. The Vanguards in 3.10 are a lot better than they ever have been. Is yeeting yourself into a planet still a thing? What do you mean? What? For what purpose? Just because the lols? Do you think armor values need to have more of an impact? Oh, so yeah, so we need physical damage system, physicalized components, and armor to be more appropriate. For not just for ships as well. We need that for players. And yes, I don't know to what extent, but it needs to different armor needs to protect against different types of projectile. Is there a way to change the auto gimbal? Because I struggle to keep an eye on the auto gimbal reticle and my forward-facing reticle at the same time. We can cycle your fire mode with R. As we got. Do you happen to know what requirements are to get into Wave 2? I heard it's something to do with your gameplay time. So, yeah, so it's a mixture of time that you've played in persistent PTUs, and your activity on the issue council. It doesn't have to be you finding bugs constantly, but you are reproducing and getting involved with that is important. Yeah, so it's when you're talking about Star Citizen content and creating content in general as a business to make money, to get people to watch your stuff, you want your thumbnails and titles and everything to be as appealing as possible, but you want to avoid clickbait. So, and let me be more specific with that. It's fine to be enticing and be interesting with your titles and your thumbnails. And you'll get accused of clickbait even when you do everything fully appropriately. So fuck those people that say that. But what you want to make sure you do is that your title and your thumbnail is entirely relevant to the content of the video. By relevant, I mean that when someone clicks on that, they have an expectation of what they're going to see, and it's met that expectation, or it's better than that expectation. Yeah? Simple as that. Has there been any news regarding the physics grid refactor? So I know they're building more robust systems in general for everything like that. I would expect to potentially that partly be part of the networking refactor stuff that they've got planned this year. It is connected to that, at least loosely. If you could have one medium to large ship that was currently flyable, which would you choose? I love the Carrack. Is that too big? I do have the shiniest of skulls. That is true. Where's my Napoleon hat? I have a sort of Napoleonic-esque jacket, which I wear when I'm not making enough money from donations. Yeah, so hopefully next week we'll start to see additions to the roadmap for the end of the year. Now, one of the reasons they might not have put 3.12/4.0, the Q4 patch, on the roadmap yet is because they are unsure whether they're going to be able to get Pyro/Crusader Arisen on there and what else they're going to be able to get on there. And they're thinking of ways of, we want some surprises. How do we make people not upset at the roadmap, but also have these surprises and things like that? So should CIG stop adding new gameplay loops and features, instead working on server meshing and network improvements? They're working on all of it at the same time, and they should be probably working on it all at the same time. It's not mutually exclusive, and everyone has different sort of like view. You'll notice that throughout the streams, people will ask, it will have very sort of like, CIG should stop adding features and focus on networking stuff, or they should stop networking stuff and add content, or it'll be very specific things that all sort of like totally different views from different people. Have you discussed this week in Star Citizen with respect to a nod towards the updated persistent universe roadmap? Does that mean we'll see 3.11, 3.12, 4.0, do you think? So this week in Star Citizen stuff, I'm hoping that we will see a update to the roadmap this week, but I think that's I think we'll see an update to 3.11 in a bit more detail this week, and then potentially next week or by the end of the month we would see a hopefully 3.12/4.0 on there. I don't know for sure. I mean, we're still waiting on the Squadron 42 roadmap stuff as well, so. Can we get night vision, please? They've said that they're able to do that in game. I think it'll be done through like scopes and stuff on your weapons, though. There's the idea to take the rock, mine, and then exchange the materials to my mothership. So with the Greycat rock, I think that's probably going to be one of the ways you deal with it. Like you offload it and then continue to do it in the future. Yeah. Just got a Cytec X56 Rhino HOTAS, like yours. Well, so like mine, I haven't used mine for yonks. Do you know where I can get a good profile? No. Jamaica Game, I don't know you can get a good profile for that. Somewhere on Reddit, probably. I'll have a look around. I want to be able to host a page on my website where it has those sort of like other people's guides and things like that for HOTAS. You think there'll be implementation of voice-controlled ships and AI? I mean, I think CIG would have at least looked at it. I do actually think they want to integrate this sort of voice attack type functionality in-game to some extent. Do you think we'll ever get a ship with a kiosk or counter person you can resupply ammo and weapons? So, you've got ships like the Banner Merchantman, which is going to have shops on board that you can set up to do things similar to that. There's the Kraken and the Kraken Privateer, which is going to be able to have landing pads, and you'll be able to set it up as a mobile space station. Statement, just broke through the learning curve yesterday on Daymar with small ships. Removing decoupling really excels in atmosphere. Okay. I need to mess around with it more. Will I be able to transfer material from my rock to my mothership and keep on mining? Not in 3.10. In the future, almost certainly. Any news on performance enhancements and optimization? It's been a bit of a focus for 3.10, but to what extent it's actually going to be there on the live board, we don't know. Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan stuff is coming along. I would expect to see some of that for the end of this year. That will be big client-side improvements. you think the Tavaran fighter is coming soon? So that's what it looks like the teaser might have been of a Tavaran fighter. I suspect that it's... Yeah, I think there's a possibility. We've obviously seen the Grey Cat Rock, which is one of the other potential concepts they talked about. Do you think cargo decks will allow you to send other players to run cargo for you? I think there's going to be times associated with the loading and unloading. I think you might be able to set contracts in the future so that you can get players to move stuff between areas for you as missions, and they have to pay a deposit because they've got your ship or your cargo or whatever. So yeah, I think that's something that will be in game. Do you see them adding a low orbit mechanic when exploration becomes part of the game? No, I don't. I think you're either in the physics grid of a planet or you're not. But maybe I'll be wrong. With the player-to-player payment system now in, would you consider this patch to be an official Pirate Gameplay 1.0 patch? No, not yet. I think there's a lot more stuff that you need, like physicalized components and the ability to move cargo more freely, and able to disable and board ships before you have that sort of like more robust pirate gameplay loop. Do you think cargo boxes will be in game soon? Yes, I think that the iCache and some of the stuff they've been building and cargo decks and stuff are leading towards them having cargo v2. Has the long-term persistence become better? They've been trying to keep it between patches. Where aren't the hull A and B in game yet? Because they want to get the hull C in first. Death of a Spaceman seems so far away. So the Death of a Spaceman mechanics might be sooner, but them to be fully implemented and have them be meaningful in any way, that's much further on, yeah. Have ingress and egress corridors improved much since Evocati? I feel like they've been totally broken for the last couple of builds in large, medium and large ships. They've been working on a load of stuff. For that, I don't know where they currently are, or if it's a blocker at the moment. Are real flight services going to be physically simulated, as in flight sims today, and atmospheric effects added to the model? Atmospheric effects, to some extent, will be added to the model. Yes. Like wind stuff will buff you around, blow you around, and things like that as well, and does. There is going to be flight services on ships. I'm not sure how simulated versus gamified they are, though. What's the best profitable activity for new citizens? Depends. Eventually, it will be... Well, you can do bounty hunting. You can do... lots of different types of missions work pretty well. Cargo hauling is good once you have a ship that's capable of cargo hauling. That makes you a lot of money. Get a prospector as soon as you can. Quantanium mining is pretty good. A lot of people say cargo hauling, but I don't like the sort of like risk at your that you are for like a 30k or disconnect and you're losing all your cargo, which is just depressing. I run a load of combat missions when I grind. So that armor was the Novikov armor, which you can get above Port Tressler on Microtech space station there. So 3.10 is still in first wave ETU. Expect proper melee fighting handy to be in 3.10 with body tracking. That's what I'd expect, so people can punch each other at Grimhex. I think that's going to build towards some of the bounty hunting gameplay as well. That's what I'm hoping for that live build. Any Updates on E-War and hacking gameplay? Not really. Beyond that, we know that they've got the Building Blocks UI stuff, and that allows them to do a lot of that gameplay now if they want to. Any speculation on how the exploration gameplay would work when it comes out? Expect mixture of points of interest. So it's going to cross over to science and stuff like that as well. So you'll be scanning down points of interest. You'll be finding interesting things, flying to the edge of the system, scanning down and finding more and more sort of like these interesting points of interest, whether they be an anomaly, whether they be wrecks, whether they be asteroid fields. You could potentially find jump points and wormholes and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, there's huge amounts of science gameplay and mission stuff, like go and explore in this direction or whatever. But it's exploration covers so many different things that we'll see it stepped in. But my expectation is to have deeper scanning mechanics and then the ability to scan down points of interest and then sort of like just travel out of a system effectively at conventional speed. Scanning down more and more points of interest and quantum traveling more and more and more and more into the black. Do you expect a transport system where you can transport people for money? Yes, that is a planned thing. Genesis Starliner, for example, is one of the chips that specializes in that. iCash, when do you think we'll start seeing something? I think they'll start talking about it this quarter a lot, and I start to think we'll start seeing it for Q3, Q4 this year. Well, probably closer to Q4 now, but... any news on the Q4 2020 patch and beyond? Not really. We know that, well, it looks like they are still trying to push for Pyro this year. It's potentially they're still trying to get Crusader in this year. Now that seems kind of a bit odd, but it looks like they're trying for the C2 Hercules for that Q4 patch and iCache and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see. We're waiting for them to update the 3.11 patch on the roadmap and then give us 3, 6, 9 or 12 months of additional roadmap stuff. Like, come on, we need more. Hello, I'm sub to your channel. Nice content, super job on your YouTube vids. Thanks very much, I appreciate that, Alexandre. Have you flown the Carrack in Atmo in 3.10? Heavy. It was heavy. It needs a bit of love. Because I want to be able to land on planets with it to some extent. I mean, I want to be able to land and then, you know, get my rover out. I mean, once you get used to the new flight model stuff. Thank you. I appreciate all the YouTube love. CAG is a public traded company. And it's private, isn't it? Private shareholders and everything. Do you think they might go public at some point in the future? I doubt it. I'm hopefully getting a starter soon. Should I pick the Cully Black or the Avenger Titan? Good question. Both are great ships. Solid start to the game. I mean, you might want to go for the Avenger Titan and then upgrade to the Cutlass Black if you want something a bit bigger. I prefer the Cutlass Black probably now if there's a choice of the two. I do love the Avenger Titan just because of how cheap it is for what it does. You know when board tech will be added to the game? What? Do you think they will release Pyro and Crusader at the same time? It's possible, but it looks like Pyro is further along to me. CIG is privately held. Yeah, indeed. It's privately held, and obviously they can sell shares and distribute shares how they want. Will we see a cruise ship? What do you mean? We've got the N90 Jump. What do you mean, like a battle cruiser? Or a cruiser, as it were. You could probably see many more types of capital ship in the future. Any news on commercial flights? No real news on it. Obviously, some of the spaceports have already got areas for where Genesis Starliners will undock, and I suspect they want to put that in the game as soon as possible. Right. Underwater exploration? Question mark. So obviously they've added some better wave simulation and the way that the water shaders work. In the future, I would expect some form of water exploration. But swimming's likely to come in the not too distant future for characters. Proper water exploration, though, I think it's a while away. And I don't think it will be super in depth either. But I really used my rifle because I had a force respawn. If you had it in your hands at the time, then it's possible you did. What gameplay and points of interest Pyro will add, seeing none of its planets have spaceport or inhabitable life on them? Question mark. Gameplay. What gameplay and points of interest will Pyro add, seeing none of its planets have a spaceport? So there's Ruin Station, which is the major landing zone / space station in the Pyro area. There might be other settlements around, little mini settlements and things on the planets. But obviously you'll see other points of interest and stuff, and derelicts and stuff like that. But it's going to be a huge amount of Wild West and pirate gameplay, lots of valuable mining resources and things like that. When will the new stash houses appear on the moons of Microtech or any other location for that matter? You should see a lot more locations in 3.10. Well, not necessarily 100% true, but well, that is true, but I'm not sure if it answers your question specifically for stash houses. What I mean is, when can we disable and board other players' ships? We need disguised components for that, which they've been working on. I'm hoping we see it later this year. It's a hugely important part of the game for the combat metal and everything like that, because then ships don't have a artificial health pool. You destroy individual components, whatever, disable their ship. Oh, wow. Mr. Bowser, thank you very much. Any news on how Theatres of War is coming along? Okay, so I talked about this a little bit earlier, but so the plan is that after 3.10 goes live, within I would expect a couple of weeks personally, that there will be another Eva Carty test of Theatres of War with all the 3.10 goodness there and all the improvements that they've made between the last weekender and when they release it, or when they have the next one. And then, potentially, that will spawn another Eva Carty test phase a couple of weeks after that, or a week after that. And then I would actually expect it pretty quickly, assuming they've got a load of those fixes in, to go to a wider testing group. And what that would be is like a more public, a weekender event, or weekender events, where they have the testing for a few hours on the weekends to a more public group. Could we see Theatres of War in everyone's hands by the end of the year? Yes, I think that is what they are aiming for. Will it be fully released by then? No. Almost certainly not. Thank you very much, Mr. Bowser, though. Very much appreciated. I've not seen you around before, and you give me a load of money. And I like money. Thank you. Do you think Pyro will be where they start to add player bases? I mean... I think you're more likely to... I think you'll see them both in the Phantom System and Pyro at the same time. But it'll be a while before we see player bases properly. Is there any way you can upgrade the speed of a ship using credits in-game? You can buy different systems for your ship, but you can't buy new thruster arrays yet. So you will be able to in the future. Where's the coffee machine in the Carrick's kitchen? It's not there yet. Hopefully it should be there in the future. You will be able to... they are going to be adding shops where you can purchase all of these flair items and useful utility items as well, like the coffee machine and food makers. Are we going to see canyons? Yes, you will see larger scale features like canyons. Well, did I address the issue to Cobra TV? Not specifically, no. I did not. I've seen some people saying that the Nick system is being worked on. It could be close to completion. So I suspect that is a possibility that they've done some work on the Nick system. Obviously, Delamar and Levski is supposed to be in the Nick system. I would expect to see the Nick system pretty soon. So, like, I'd potentially expect to see the Nick system next year, for example. But I don't have any solid news on that, no. It's like the devs are trying to turn a quick job into a career. Gaming industry is forcing art, and it's not looking good. Games should be a passion project, not mechanical sweatshops. I agree with that to quite a large extent. I don't want everyone to be super crunched all the time. Nobody should pay for a game until there is a good product. It depends on what sort of project you're backing, doesn't it? Do I agree with pre-ordering stuff from huge companies? No, I don't. Do I agree with Kickstarter projects and indie projects? Sort of like financing them? Yes, I do. So... Yeah, the game's alpha, but it is playable alpha. So, I mean, people can criticize the game for it not being playable or whatever, which is a reasonable criticism to make. If you watch Cloud Imperium's sort of media when they release a new patch, so when 3.10 comes out, I bet you don't see in their beautiful trailer for it any of the problems that it has, and it look absolutely fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean? So the CIG do market it as this very playable, polished product when it is very much an alpha, that's an interesting thing. So you can certainly be reasonable with that. But yeah, the game is both alpha and playable, and those are hard things to get to grips with because they sort of like oppose to each other quite aggressively. It's an interesting one. But I very much enjoy Star Citizen. I think it's very playable all the time, and I think it's very unplayable some of the time. It's up and down, isn't it? I do love the project. I'm glad that it is an alpha, because if this was a live release or anything at the moment, then obviously it wouldn't be appropriate. But I do love what they're doing, and on paper, I'm really enjoying it. The project and everything, and I'm enjoying what they're doing now, to some extent, and I do understand it's a slow burn project. I'm very excited for it. They are starting to deliver a lot of stuff, which is exciting. I'm very much hoping that Squadron 42 is a good game. That's important. You are seeing progress on Star Citizen. It's just slow. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And sometimes... but they are still making progress. And there's a lot of stuff that is being worked on. I think it's because the lion's share of stuff's in Squadron 42, and because they don't show stuff and don't communicate everything as well as they should a lot of the time, in my opinion, that a lot of annoyance occurs. What's your favourite thing about 3.10? I quite enjoy combat now, a lot more than I previously did. Is it as good as 2.6.3? I don't think so. Not yet. It's definitely a giant step towards something much better. But we need so many of the other game mechanics to come into play. But, I mean, I didn't play over the weekend much 3.10, so I wasn't having the problems that a lot of people did with packet loss and stuff. So sort of bear that in mind. Skylark, thank you so much for gifting a big wodge of subs to people. Swation Source, Kescape, Eagle, 40BC, and Stainless Steel Rat. You've all been given free subs from Skylark. Well, not free. It's been given them by Skylark, who paid for them. Thank you very much, Skylark. You star. Thank you. Oh, you legend. Never understood why people get... I don't know. Thank you, though. I appreciate everyone. Thank you for the time, taking the time to answer all our questions. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Sam. It's appreciated. I appreciate you for listening to my idiocy. I very much appreciate Mr. Bowser for giving me huge amounts of money for asking just a random question. Thank you. Will star systems be procedurally generated? So the generation of the original assets is procedurally assisted. Will points of interest be procedurally generated? To some extent, yes. But the individual planets and that sort of stuff, that's the same for everyone there. It's not procedurally generated at the time either. It's pre-baked. They were even space stations and stuff that you see in game. They were originally procedurally assisted, so they procedurally generate like 100 of them, and then go, this one looks great, bam, and then they edit it a bit. A big watch of subs. Is there a way I can try the game for free? If you wanted to play the game now, you'd have to buy a $45 game package. But what you can do is just create an account, don't buy a package, and wait for the next free fly. They do a few free flies every year for like a week or two that you can try the game during that free fly for free. Is there going to be an update to the ship interface in 3.10? Probably in the future, not for 3.10 as far as I'm aware. There's no way to meet people in-game or to play together. You're talking about original No Man's Sky. There's a lot of reasons to meet. You can share missions. You can do missions together. Some of the harder missions require you to group up. I mean, the game certainly doesn't have all its features, and a lot of stuff's not working as intended. That's 100% sure. But a lot of the stuff you're saying is directly demonstrably untrue. And Destiny 2, just alone with others. There's reasons to group up. I love Destiny 2. Wait, the before it went on Steam anyway, when it was with Blizzard, I was playing loads of Destiny 2 with the group. Socializing. What? Like saying Apex Legends is you just alone with others. What? I don't understand. I don't understand your viewpoint or standpoint on that. Sorry. Yeah, and some games you can get huge amounts of hours from, thousands of hours from, like, what, Dota 2? Dota 2's free. I think I probably have, like, over 4,000 hours in Dota 2. No, I don't like just randomly blocking people. People are entitled to their opinion as long as they're civil. A little uncivil at times, and yeah, but, I mean, as long as people are reasonable and don't get aggressive, I'm fine for them sharing their opinion. They're allowed to have a negative opinion on stuff or say, I don't like this, or I think you do this. That's cool. I don't mind that. As long as they don't get... As long as people don't get aggressive, everyone can remain civil. That's all good. Do you know what I mean? It's all good. Don't mind. Some people might see people are trolling when they're not. Some people might be trolling and they might become apparent later. I think that I'd rather give people the time of day and go, your opinion might not matter that much to me, but I think you should be able to have your opinion if you want it, as long as they remain civil. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Will you pass on to Cloud Imperium that they need to remove the autopilot in no-fly zone? They're working on that. The bullshit flight corridors and over-aggressive autopilot stuff, that's being worked on. That's a major block of the 3.10 Live. So trying to compare it to actual games instead of putting it into a pedestal. Apex was also implied in my opinion. Yeah, so ATF, what I'd say is that you have a different point of view on a lot of those games than other people do. And that's fine. I'm just saying that if you see some stuff that I see as great multiplayer games and really enjoyable social games like Apex, for example. I love Apex. I might be a little bit of a salty little bitch sometimes at it, but you guys don't see that. My friends see that regularly. I complain that everyone's a hacker. I get quite annoyed. But I play in a group, and we do pretty well in a group. And when I play with randoms, yeah, I try to communicate a bit, but more I'm just sort of like trying to stay with them rather than communicate when it's with randoms, because it's harder to communicate with those sort of people. But I think it's very much a team game. But I think the problem with a lot of people and some of these games is that with Dota, with Apex, it's much easier to blame your failings and the group failings on everyone else and not yourself. There's a lot of diminished responsibility with that. I'm not saying that's what you do or anything. Just hear me out. I think that a lot of those kind of team-play games that make you feel like it's alone with other people is that you failed to do something, that the team failed to do something. It's the team's fault, not mine. And I think that breeds a certain, I think the term is toxicity, but I think the toxic stuff is a little bit out of control now. This is the same with like Counter-Strike, for example. People will blame their team rather than themselves. And typically it's a mixture of the two, yourself and the team. But sorry, that was just me having a bit of an existential rant. Yeah, so, I mean, what I'd say is, with any issues that you have with Star Citizen, make sure you add them to the issue council, get involved with that, talk about that sort of stuff on other people's threads that have made similar threads, and be constructive, not aggressive or attacking critical. And there's no need to be. You can be civil, yeah? Will persistence keep my money and in-game bought ships when 3.10 is released? We don't know yet. They're hoping that happens. We're hoping that happens. We don't know yet for sure. If there's a reason to reset persistence and your assets, then they will do it. So that might be that they need to reset the databases because it was causing issues or bugs, or because they got new databases or whatever. Any report on how the Pisces handles an atmosphere? It's likely doing a lot of surface to space flight. I think it handles pretty well. I played it very briefly. in 3.10 initial wave, initial PT patch, and didn't notice the flight model, the flight model changes on it. So I'll try it again. But it's probably flying pretty well if I didn't notice the flight model. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not too heavy. Any thoughts on what would be shown in online this year's CitizenCon? Nothing will be shown at this year's CitizenCon because 2020 CitizenCon is cancelled. There is going to be an event around that time, sort of like an in-game celebration or something instead. We're not 100% sure what. There's been rumours of like a capital ship being unveiled or sold or whatever. I would expect to see CitizenCon early next year though. Well, first quarter, early second quarter sort of next year. Because I think it ties into their marketing. That's just my expectation and my thoughts though. What else have we got? What are the new shop at Microtech? And what do they sell? So, at Microtech, you've got at the spaceport, at Microtech, the Nibis, new Babbage Interstellar, or Intergalactic Interstellar spaceport. You've got a little knick-knack kiosk which sells penguins with snowboards or without snowboards, big giant plushies, food, and stuff like that. You also then have the more major thing is the factory line in the middle of the commons, in the middle of the shopping area, the big round building that was in New Babbage. That is now opened up and has multiple levels, and there's lots of stuff going on sale there in the future. In 3.10 we have new crypto keys. We have Moby glasses, which have color changes, not on your UI, just actual little We'll watch colour changes. Hopefully that will expand out into lots of different types of mobiGlas in the future that will actually change the UI and the functionality of them to some degree. And then there's lots of other things on display there, like SIM pods, like holographic generators, like AR contact lenses. Any idea if there's a reference guide to reputation system and how it works? Maybe map layout of how certain missions would be affected. There is a reputation system, and that basically at the moment controls whether you get lawful or unlawful missions and from what mission giver to an extent, and if you're on a chain of missions. But it's very basic. There's going to be a much more complicated one in the future. I mean, I could probably do a guide on that. I'd have to do a... What do you think's holding up the Squadron 42 update? Is it really just B-roll? No, it's not just B-roll. So they want to get a mixture of B-roll, and they probably want to check in better with Brian Chambers and get more information, and probably talk to some other members of staff about Squadron 42 stuff. The video that they made did not convey what they wanted it to convey. It's basically what I understand. If you were in a legal area and I passed you the joint, would you puff or pass? I might pretend that I don't know it was a joint. Eh? Yeah? Two's ya, mate. What else have we got here? Has the new Gemini C54 ballistic SMG, it has a crazy rate of fire, large magazine, and visibly low recoil. Do you think it could just cancel all other close middle range weapons? It's pretty useful, okay? So, but if you're not at quite close range and aiming down sights, it goes just goes everywhere. Actually, it doesn't kick up that much, but it does just spray everywhere. I really like it. It's a really fast SMG. However, I think in the future, I think it won't be great for penetration of armor. So, great against fleshy targets or to suppress an area, but I'm not sure if it's going to be great against armor in the future. So, a lot of these weapons will change a bit. I really liked it for just the rate of fire it had at close range. With aim down sights, it was good, it seemed. Love this game, love the people, love you, Bored. Gotta go back to work. Have a wonderful day. Take care, Mr. Sparrow. Thanks for watching. Content creators make it look fun, and it's not fun. I think it's fun. I think content creators might... I mean, like, okay, Morph makes it look beautiful. I play the game and talk about it. I don't think I'm particularly fun. Solly Mike plays it, and it's real as fuck. You got Rickzilla and people like that who actively are trying to make entertaining content, so they add value to it by organising things, but that's still in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's sandbox at the moment. It is an alpha. It's playable alpha, and it's not a game yet that you can sit down and play in the same way that you can with others. And I think if you're trying to hold it up to that regard, then you're just entirely... you cray-cray for that. But it's been a slow development. Have you got exactly what you wanted? Obviously, you haven't. Some people have, because they're enjoying it at the moment, but obviously we all want more. Bu- 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 bu. ATF, I feel that you don't want content creators to be objective. You want them to be overly critical. It's actually what you want. Is I'm relatively objective in the fact that I create Star Citizen news content and regurgitate what they say. And a load of people call me a fanboy or a shill because of that. But that's the most objective you can be. Yeah, I don't. A lot of the videos I have are just based on their roadmap information or whatever. I do give opinions sometimes, and I'm a massive fan of the project. I am, and I do videos based on what they might be doing and talking about what things I enjoy and like. Because I wouldn't cover stuff probably in the sort of same way if I wasn't enjoying it. I wouldn't cover gameplay of something, but I would talk about it if something's broken or trash, and I have in the past with holder modes and stuff. But I think that obviously you've got a bit of an agenda to sort of like push that you think it's trash or you don't like it, and that's fine. But I think it's disingenuous to think that all content creators are just trying to make the game look great or whatever, because I don't think they are. Maybe you shouldn't make a video about what content creation involves for you, Bored. Mine's pretty low effort. It's just research, mostly. And then so I have a load of video ideas and semi-scripts that I've partially written up, or bullet points or whatever. And then during a day, I'll check the news, what's in a hot topic, and then make a video based on that, or what I fancy doing. Yeah? Just a lot of the show. Cutting wood. Is that a euphemism, Dave? Thoughts on landing splines, restrict area rework? So they're fixing it at the moment. It was buggy as fuck and too aggressive. Like, I want to be able to. So the idea of the landing rework for these areas is that you've got a flight corridor. You go down into the flight corridor after you request a landing at Lawville or at Area 18, and it shows you a landing corridor. You go through that landing corridor, and then you're above your hangar, and you go down into your hangar. Bam. Okay? That's the idea. Now, landing, often not too bad, okay? As long as the hangar doesn't close on you. Oh, wait, the hangar often closes on you. So you get there, and you can't do anything, because you can't really request landing, because you've already requested landing, and the hangar doors are closed. You're like, and you can't even escape, because the air traffic control hasn't got the flight corridor there anymore, and it pulls you back down. That's really annoying, and you have to wait there for ages. Or you can request a landing again, then just land in the hangar. When you request landing to leave, much easier to leave now. You sort of like get out of your hangar a little bit, look around for where the flight corridor is, travel to the flight corridor, you sort of make a fake flight corridor in your mind, get into that flight corridor, and then just travel in it. It's too aggressive and invasive moving you if you're slightly out of that flight corridor or where it starts, or that sort of stuff. So it's just not working as intended. I think if they're a little bit looser with it, it'll be okay. I mean, I just wouldn't have the... if they're going to have a autopilot take control, have it quite a wide area. Like, have it a lot further away from the flight corridor. Have the flight corridor like 4 times its actual size, but just so smaller on your screen. And if you come out of that flight corridor, maybe give people a warning and then a fine if they stay out of it for long enough. But don't autopilot them. I mean, I prefer not to autopilot them at all. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a massive fan of that autopilot. And I think that the bugs have caused with that, they're just annoying. So they need to sort that out before live build. You are actually cutting wood. Good job. Have there been any updates on the changes to the Mercury Star Runner? No, not really that they've talked about yet. I would expect to see them in the next few weeks, though. ITF, I've had... I'm gonna... The auto mod is going mental. The stuff you've said. Oh, I see why. It's because you talked about a sexy thing. Okay. I think it's a lot to do with your phrasing of things is the issue. Just be civil. Just be good and civil. I've had to time you out for this stream, dude. Sorry. I hate doing that. I think everyone's entitled to be able to talk about stuff as long as they're civil, but unfortunately, I have to moderate my content to some degree, and you're clearly annoying people in a way that you want to be confrontational rather than, you know, have a conversation. You want to... Sorry, dude. What's your current opinion on payouts for the multi-box delivery missions? Okay, so I think delivery missions, if you're doing a chain delivery mission, you should get a bit more... You want more money. You want the more mana. More mana. But I also think there should be a bit more risk of counter missions being generated for some of them for players to come and get your package. Where do you think Cloud Imperium will go with armor? Currently, armor has such little impact and currently low values. Expect armor to actually provide some more protection and for it to have physical protections to different sort of like projectile types. So it's going to... some will be better against energy, some will be better against the electrons, some will be better against actual physical projectiles from like bullets and stuff. Yeah? Yeah, the air traffic control and the flight corridors, restricted landing stuff doesn't work as intended at the moment. It needs to be fixed. It's not great. I would potentially say they should gut it out if they can't get it fixed within the next week or so. So they haven't changed the flight system, like they haven't redone the flight model. They've improved and added to the flight model like they were planning to. But the changes in 3.10 are the additions that they need to have in the game, and they need to keep on adding a few more things and tweaking it to have a proper combat and proper flight model that is, you know, fun and what they need for the game, sort of thing. I mean, not everyone's going to love it, but I mean, I love the addition of Jerk. And the atmospheric stuff seems great. I mean, to me, it's just improvements across the board with the flight model. They need to go a lot further with high-speed combat, though. I mean, one of the reasons it's improvements across the board with the flight model is that how could you... it wasn't great before, so it would be hard to do worse because they just didn't have the components needed. It needed these additions. What's your opinion on money transfer fees? There's not very much money transfer fees. I'm okay with a little bit of tax as long as it's a reason to have that tax. Now, what could the reasons be in the future? Well, they could actually do tax based on size of your org. They could do it based on the types of the amount of, well, maybe size of org's a little bit out of the way, but population in an area. Yeah? So if you've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people grinding missions in a particular star system, you can up the tax in that area, and that artificially moves people out of that star system. You see what I mean? So tax might actually serve a purpose. Are turrets fun yet? Yes. Hugely better. Hugely. Magnitudes better in 3.10. And more fun. I like Star Citizen. A lot of people play briefly and then wait for the next update. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's the Star Citizen tourism, as I call it, and I think a lot of people do that. Like, they check it out when a new patch goes live. What's new? What's cool? Play it for a few hours. I'm done. I'll see you next patch. There is nothing wrong with that. I think that's how a lot of people play it. What can we expect from the Microtech Amphitheatre in the future? So there's supposed to be one of these rooms in the factory line shop at the bottom, which is also going to be an amphitheatre. They can turn it into an amphitheatre at any point. So I would expect to see potential sort of like in-game events there. Some of the like show stuff, like if they have a CitizenCon in the future, maybe you'll be able to view the CitizenCon from in-game. No Streamer has talked about rec sites, the new rec sites, and how advanced the game's gone. I'll be looking at some of the new points of interest and the new thingamajig, the derelicts that have been replopped back down, and things like that in the future. I'll get something up probably this week. Is jerk when the ship rolls left or right with no player input? No, so that's more sort of like getting jostled in aerodynamics and stuff by the wind and atmosphere. So jerk is your thrusters, rather than the responding instantly at full sort of like power, they take time to accelerate. So your ship, although it has similar maneuverability, it will feel weightier because it takes time to respond slightly to those inputs. Is there any talk on physicalized components? The iCache and general work on physicalizing components is a major sort of focus, I believe, for CIG at the moment. I'm seeing and hearing a lot of irritation about the new targeting in 3.10. It's hugely different. As CIG in the past made modifications this late in the patch release cycle to address concerns like this. I mean, there's certainly some tweaks they could do to it, but I think people need to... Okay, the problem is it reduces some of the functionality you have for targeting, but that might be what they want to do with the game and actually make lots of other ships more useful and coordination with other ships more useful. Like, just having a single-seat fighter and being able to switch between all your targets freely and having, like, perfect information about the battlefield is not what they want, especially when they want to have stealth, scanning, and all this sort of stuff, and working together, and sort of, like, situational awareness. So, I actually quite like the way it's going. Oh shit, this is live! It is, indeed. Is not being able to hover while mining in 3.10 a bug, or is that a feature? I think you are supposed to be able to hover in the Mole and the Prospector. I think it is currently a bug. You've been waiting for this stream so long. I'm going to be stopping pretty soon. I didn't realise I'd been going for 2.5 hours. I need to eat in a minute. Also, I've got a sore throat. I hope I don't have the old Rona. I mean, I haven't got in contact with anyone. What else have we got? When flying around with ships, I've seen that markers for minables were popping up without actively scanning. Is this some kind of active scanner only exploration ships? So, no. So the idea is that technically minables in the future, based on what scanner you've got, can still be passively detected by your radar. You don't have to necessarily scan for them. Scanning will tell you for minables in that area, yes. But the idea is that scanners in general will have different focuses, but can pick up all, or some can pick up all signatures. With the addition of cargo decks in 3.11, do you think the CAT might finally get its lifts implemented? They talked about that, and they said that they will be getting them implemented at some point. It'd be good if they were working in 3.11, because you can put a bollock ton of grey cat rocks in a caterpillar. Oh. When do you think ships will go from being blown up all the time to being more disabled? Physicalized components literally allows for that. That's what one of the major things they are working on. Did you drink a cold drink from the freezer? I've got lots of bottled water in the fridge. Thanks for answering. No worries. Thanks for asking questions. I appreciate it. Would you like to see them go back and add electric damage to some existing weapons like the Devastator shotgun? No. I'm fine with them. I'm fine with it being an energy weapon and stuff like that. I want to see more of the stun effect electric weapons and electron weapons rather than the more fatal ones. Thank you very much, Toller Games. Have a great stream, Bored. Stop in to show some love. Thank you very much. Stopping in. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the bits. What else have we got? Yeah, but I want to see like the stun batons and that sort of stuff, and I think we'll start to see more and more of that stuff, especially with the dragging of bodies and things like that. That's being added. I'm seeing. Yeah, I've talked about that. Noob 2013, 325A pledge player here, doing deliveries with a loner freelancer to earn my way around. Do we get to keep the freelancer? 2, what should I focus on next for delivery missions? So, okay, if it's a freelancer for a loner as a loner ship, you'll keep it until they remove it. Basically, they will remove it in the future, either because the ship that you've bought is now available and usable, or because they've changed the ship it comes with or whatever. The freelancer they loaned to everyone a while ago was because there was a bug that they fixed by doing that. I can't remember the full details of that. It's been purged out of my brain buffer. So that sort of stuff will get removed. If you rent one in-game, that will get removed after the rental period. If you buy one in-game, buy a ship in-game, then that might get removed when they do new patches. But they try and keep those assets and that money where possible. Drink a gallon of orange juice. I hope so. Well, I'll have some painkillers in a second, and I'll have some water, and I'll chill out. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then we'll pass on the stream to... I'll find someone on Twitch, see who's streaming. Do you think developing features or balancing is more important? I think they can do both at the same time. They've got literary teams that can do a bit of balancing stuff. I think developing features is more important because once they develop the features, then they need to do the balance anyway. Like, they can do the balance now to make the game more playable in its playable alpha, but that is just slowing development slightly, like, or at least putting resources into something that will change in the future anyway. Do you see what I mean? But obviously the playable part of that alpha is important for their monetization model. And technically, it does allow them to work in a lot more nuance and ideas into each of their mechanics anyway, so they've got more and more and more and more feedback, which does help as well. Have you tried disabling automatic thrust control that was put in several versions back? It's originally designed to reduce thrusters when near objects for smooth landing. Probably. I can't remember how I actually fly. I'll look. I'll look for all the different sort of like controls and what I can turn on and off later this week, because I want to do a video literally talking about the atmospheric flight model and things you can do and how it flies and how it works. So I'll actually look through all that in a bit more detail this week. Tyrannus, thank you very much. Or 7 Tyrannus, thank you very much for the sub prime sub. And Stormfire, thank you so much, sir. Your continued support and your bits is very much appreciated. Any word on the next ship weapons? We will see. If not, what do you think would be neat to see for weapons? I don't know. I'd like to see some more plasma weapons. I'd like to see some... I mean, they can just expand out the weapon set with lots and lots and lots of different weapons. I don't really mind. I haven't really put much thought into new weapons and ship weapons and stuff. Like, for FPS weapons, Grey Launcher I'm really looking forward to, which is coming in 3.11. I think there's going to be lots of different grenade-type ammo in the future, hopefully with 3.11 as well, but maybe a bit further in the future. Like, microwave gun, cool. I think they're working out flamethrower would be amazing. Flamethrower on ships would be amazing, although I'm not sure how that would work in space. Keep the hype train alive. Thank you very much, Tolo Games. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. 3.9 is adding the Cutlass Red and the Carrack in-game, and the A90 Jump, and lots of other ships. In fact, almost every flyable ship is going to be purchasable in 3.10. Do you think we'll see updates to the medical gameplay soon? I think you'll see the ability to obviously drag people that's in the 3.10. But you'll be able to jab people with Medipens soon, and that sort of stuff to get them back up. I think they've been working on knockdowns and bleed-outs rather than just insta-deads as well. Photon torpedoes. That's what I used to say when I was firing flare gun in GTA 5. Python torpedo. Makes sense. Do you think that developing a lot of ships and assets is slowing down development when the features for those assets haven't been developed, leading to reworks? No, that doesn't lead to reworks, in my opinion. I think that ships and the concept cells and adding ships and new vehicles to the game is actually important to the game, not just for the monetization model, but to add variety. The actual core features of the game haven't actually changed that much when it comes to when they add new ships. That's sort of like, well, now, sort of like what repair, salvage, refueling, drones. There's set things that some of the stuff builds into. Even with like the mines, they're basically drones in my opinion / turrets. So stuff like that with the Nautilus. No, I think what they've done is important and works. I don't think it needs to massive reworks. I think this the long sort of development of the game has led to reworks, and 2, 3 different sort of like mindsets and stages of the project has caused sort of like legacy work to then need to be reworked for the newer stuff and planetary stuff and all this new tech that they've got. And yeah, to some extent there has been feature creep and feature bloat for sure, but a lot of that's now actually being addressed and worked on and that sort of stuff. Thank you very much, Dollar Games, for becoming a sub. Very much appreciated. Boom! Thank you. CIG wants to accommodate all playstyles, and I think that's too many. Some playstyles, lots of playstyles is fine. But yes. Is it worth waiting for a future update to get a secondary backup ship or not? I would buy the ship in game, because why not? Banana Stew, thank you very much for subbing. Thank you. Work for the shipping game, get the shipping game. I think that's worth doing, especially where there's the possibility of keeping those between major patches, those ships and assets, and it gives you something to do when a patch comes out as well. If you do lose it, you're like, well, I'll work towards that as one of my major goals. Why is there nothing on the roadmap for exploration and medical gameplay? Because the roadmap currently only shows up to 3.11, very roughly. They need to expand the roadmap. That's an annoying thing. We need to see more. And why is the roadmap only showing to 3.11 is the more major question. That's because the CIG have not updated it because they're monsters. The way to find regular playing orgs in the UK. I mean, yeah, search on the org database stuff. Have a look. You'll find orgs there. Go into some of the org channels in the Reddit or on Discord or whatever. See if there's any UK orgs. I'll probably focus at some country-based orgs as well in my org spotlight. It's a good idea. Will they make hypersonic weapons in the future? Possibly. CIG wants physical damage for Squadron 42. Does that mean we should see physical damage components and then physical components and then damage in the near future? Yes, it does. Almost certainly. I'm thinking once 3.10 hits, I may do a hide-and-seek contest. That's a great idea. With the penguin, whoever finds it, gets a load of UEC. Yes, you can do contests now where you actually send people out for UEC. Any idea what size and type of weapons are used by the sentries in the claim drop missions? They hit like a truck. Size 5 weapons? I can't remember. They do hit like a truck. And they're supposed to. Right. I think... Do you think there will be a lot of changes before 3.10 goes live? No. I think there's the possibility they might have a couple of small tweaks. I think there's a small possibility that you might rip out the restricted area rework stuff, because I don't think it's working as intended at the moment. But other than that, I think it's pretty good. Obviously they need to solve the packet loss and service stability problems and that sort of stuff at the moment. That's the major focus. But there's obviously a load of little minor ones and a load of tweaks that they need to do in general. Oh, congratulations still on getting a 5k bits badge. That's appreciated. I say congratulations. Thank you very much for giving me loads of money. But thank you very much for everyone watching today. That's very much appreciated. If you do want to further support the channel, you can watch the streams, you can watch the videos, share, like, subscribe. Sharing those videos really helps, as does commenting and giving me feedback on videos. You can just comment and say, thanks for the video, what you liked, what you didn't like. ideas for videos, things that you'd like me to check out in the future, things you didn't like about the video, things you did like, whatever. That really genuinely helps. You can also get me at contact@boredgamer.co.uk if you want to send me an email. I think I'm reasonably easy to get hold of. Or at least I do respond eventually. You can get me on my Discord, discord.gg/BoredGamer. And there's links always below all my videos and everything. But thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you very much for all the people that have chucked loads of money at me, including Stormfire and Troller Games and Mr. Bowser, who I've never seen before, but lots of money. Mwah. Skylark, you legend. Sam Parsons. Toblith and Skylark. What is this? Chucking money at me. Lilith, Shite. Edward. Luna, who I got very confused what the question or thing you were saying, but thank you very much. You pay for Netflix, so you pay for watching me. That's very much appreciated. Narek, Galamars, you stars? Thank you so much. I do like money. And so I've been sort of like, I suffer terribly from anxiety. I've been super worried about employing Zin full time. But I think that it's worth going forward with it and trying to improve the content on the channel and seeing if that translates into, as long as it hits a reasonable amount of most of her wage paid, then over the first 3 months, great. Then we can expand on that a lot more. I think that the quality of content on the channel will be significantly improved. And the amount, we could probably get a good amount more. Like if I can get 10 videos a week and 4 streams a week, that would be absolutely great. But thank you so much. Very much appreciated for watching. We are going to go and host someone else. Who else is around on the Twitches? Oh, no, it's me again. Who is around? We've got Maya, we've got Saurus, we've got Sigelian, we've got... Is there anyone else that I regularly talk to? Anyone preferred out of that? We will probably go and host Maya, because I said to Maya last time I would host him. Who's Bognorgos? Am I... Who is Bognorgos? This man's got a beautiful... Look at this man's mustache. Do we host him because of his mustache? Do Maya next time? I'll have to see Maya. We'll do Maya. I'll do some... I can't remember this dude. I'm sorry, I've forgotten who this is. We're gonna host Maya because I said Maya. Boop. Thanks very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. /raid Maya. Boop. Yeah, thanks very much for asking the questions. I am planning to do some gameplay streams this week and to get a lot more 3.10 videos out. We should have a good about more information from Star Citizen Live with Top Happy this week, as well as the Inside Star Citizen starting up again. So very much looking forward to that. Thanks very much for joining me today. Love you guys' faces. Love your faces, guys. Shadow works with 3.10. I've got that working. I like NordVPN. Fuck you, I'm a shill. How about that? Deal with that, mate. Love you guys. You take care.